Hello YouTube, this is Froogle, and today we're going to be doing a kind of a first impression / review of a rather unique piece of hardware, the Tobii EyeX Eye Tracking device. Now before we get started, I'm sure many of you regulars on YouTube have seen many other videos all around the YouTubes about this product. I just want to point out this is not a sponsored video. I was offered the chance to make a sponsored video on this. I turned it down because I have some reservations about the device and I wanted to make an impartial review. So with that said, they did send me a unit that I'm allowed to keep. I'm probably going to give it away, not in this video, but stay tuned to this channel. But this is a very much impartial, unpaid, unsponsored review of this product. Anyway, Tobii EyeX. I'm going to splice in some video here that you can look at which shows you all about the device. It is a very small, very elegantly designed, in fact, black long bar which attaches to the bottom of your monitor, and then it has 3 lights on it. I'm not entirely sure what the lights do or the technology and the magic that goes on behind them, but in a nutshell they track your eyes. And the idea is that wherever you look, you can change the view in a sim to look in that location. Supports a number of sims right out of the box, including DCS World, FSX, Take on Helicopters, Elite Dangerous is supported, and a number of other games as well. Euro Truck Sim is supported as well. And the way it works in software, from what I've managed to gather from my time using this, I've spent quite a bit of time trying to use this and getting used to it. It basically creates a virtual joystick. So as you move your eyes around the screen, you're actually moving a joystick, albeit a pretend one, with your eyeballs, and you can bind that joystick to the view commands. So in FSX, for example, you set up some of the view axes to move based on what this virtual joystick is doing. Same thing in DCS, you actually assign a view axis and a view device, and you're controlling that. It's a little bit odd, it's a little bit strange to get used to. It does have a lot of promise to it. So let me show you what it's like when you first set it up. You have to calibrate it for each of your monitors. Now I am recording obviously this, and so when I record, many of you don't know, I actually have a different monitor that I actually record on, and I haven't calibrated the device to run on this monitor, so it's already popped up and told me we need to set up this monitor. So I'm going to walk you through the software first for the Tobii EyeX and show you how it all works. So please set up the display configurator. We'll click on that. Now you'll see here it's saying move the lines to the marks on top of your eye tracker. The eye tracker comes with a metal bar, very thin, very small metal bar, which is sticky on one side. So you're supposed to stick that on the bottom of your monitor, and then the Tobii EyeX unit itself attaches magnetically to that bar. When you've done that, assuming you have it centered or somewhat centered, you go into this setup here, and what you need to do is move these little bars so that these 3 lines in the picture, that one, and that one, line up with the lines on top of the device. So I'm going to move that one over there, and that's pretty much lined up with that line on the device, and that one there. And if you have multiple monitors, as I do, you can see here I can change this to calibrate a different monitor. We don't need to do that in this case, and then click on Done. Calibrate the eye tracker. The user profile Froogle is not calibrated for this display. Click here to calibrate. You'll go through all of this yourself when you first get it. Here we go. These are your eyes. See how much you can move around. Well, actually I can't move anything around. It's not doing anything right now. It's not actually picking up my eyeballs. There we go. Adjust display angle. Oh, I needed to lean back in my chair a little bit. It doesn't like me sitting on top of the things. I actually moved my microphone away, so I was, again, first time I've recorded with this device, and was a little bit concerned that my microphone was interfering. In fact, I'm still a little bit concerned. So if the sound's a bit off at this point, it's because I've moved my microphone quite a distance away from my face. I'm going to press any key now. And then we get into the let's calibrate for your eyes bit. And you can see how it works. Now I could have filmed this with a webcam looking at me, but it makes no sense. All you're going to see is me sitting here, just staring as still as I can at the screen. Let's try that again. What's going on here? Alright, I need to hurry up. So I'm looking at each dot as they appear, staring at the top one. Now I'm going to stare at bottom right. And now I'm staring bottom left. And I'm not moving my head at all. I'm just moving my eyes, which is why I don't have a webcam set up. It would be a very strange looking, boring video of Froogle sitting as still as he possibly can and just moving his eyeballs. Great. So all 3 lights just came on the device at the bottom of my screen now. Let's click on this again. And we are all set. So this is interesting. When I open the eye tracker software now, look, you see there's highlights on those words. That's because I'm looking at them. So if I go and look at Gaze Trace, for example, now I look at the top of Games and Apps, and then Settings, Intro, Display Setup. That highlight is just moving by me simply staring at one of the items. Freaky or what? Let's go into the intro. I want to show you the intro. Show you how that all works. So this is the intro. Your device is about to change forever. Incidentally, this system can be used to do, I guess, eye recognition for Windows Hello. So if you have Windows 10, you can actually use this to log in. I don't have Windows 10. Not sure if my sound is being picked up actually on the video. I think it is. Yes, it is. Alright, so it says look around. So I'm looking at my monitor. I'm going to move my eyes to the right.
Huh?
And you see as I do that, it changes the view. And I can look up, and I can look down, and all I'm doing is moving my eyes. Great, now try looking around some more. This next bit's pretty tricky. You've got to use lasers. Natural targeting. You can see it takes a bit of getting used to. So what I need to do now is stare at an asteroid until it pops. And it's the strangest feeling ever. It feels almost like you're controlling things with your mind. It's just, I want to blow up that asteroid. Now I want to blow up the one next to it. Now I want to do the one bottom right there. There we go. And the opposite one now. And then top right. And then bottom. And then right. Very, very strange. Let's try looking around some more now. I have no idea what you want. And that's the intro. So now I can exit just by staring at exit, which is what I'm going to try and do. Done. Isn't that strange? Didn't touch anything, didn't move any controllers, actually sitting here with my arms folded, just staring at dots on the screen. So you have that. And then once you've got the software set up, you actually get some additional software that you download called Infinite Screen. And this is the virtual joystick controller. Let's run this up. And when it comes up here, you'll see a list of games that are supported right now. So Arma 2, Operation Arrowhead, and again, I can highlight on the left there. So there's games, help, settings, with my eyeballs. Arma 3, DayZ, DCS World. Now I was a little concerned about DCS World because we have DCS World 1, 1.5 and 2. It actually works with DCS 1.5, which is great. Elite Dangerous, haven't tried Euro Truck yet, have tried FSX, did not enjoy the experience. I'll talk you through why shortly. Let's take on helicopters, Iron Front Liberation, which is basically Arma, and IL-2 Battle of Stalingrad. So quite a lot of titles already in there, quite a lot of simmer-friendly titles as well, which is great, and more titles on the way, apparently. They are working with developers right now to get more title support in here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put us in my favorite, in DCS World. There is a free flight KA-50 mission where you have to fly across the landscape, and then I'm going to try and land on a ship, which should be interesting. I'm going to show you how this thing works in DCS World. So I'll be right back in a moment. See you soon. Alright, welcome back. Here we are in the KA-50 in Sukumi. We're going to fly out over the coast towards ship and land. Notice the camera is already shifting. The reason it's shifting is because I'm reading the text. So as I look around, it's actually changing the camera. And it takes a little bit of getting used to. I'll talk you through the tricks. It's kind of disorienting right now, actually. So let me take this out of pause mode and we'll get this helicopter stable somehow. And I'll talk you through how it all works. Now, interestingly, just then I looked sideways. And I just did it again. Oh, my microphone. You do tend to look around. I tend to look around quite a bit when I'm flying. You know, looking at the room that I am in and all sorts of stuff. So you need to train your eyes a little bit to look precisely where you want to look. So right now I'm looking at the center of the HUD. And the view is remaining nice and simple. If I want to look at the countermeasures, then the view changes up there. If I want to look at those switches, it changes up there. Look down at my displays and so on. It's actually a bit of a challenge. It takes a while to get used to not moving your eyes. And that really is probably, I would say, the greatest flaw of this. I just realized I didn't have my trim button bound. You really need your trimmer bound in the KA-50. But that's probably the greatest flaw and the challenge in this, actually, is the learning curve. It's certainly very usable. I mean, I can snap the view around very rapidly and look at anything I want. So I'm looking at the villages over there on the left. Let's look at the coast on the right now. And I can do that just by moving my eyeballs, which is a phenomenally powerful feature. Don't get me wrong, but it takes a lot of effort. And I don't know if it's just my old tired 45-year-old eyes, but it tires my eyes out. It actually gets very, very tiring trying to hold them in a single spot and not move them. You can adjust sensitivity in the Tobii EyeX Infinite Screen extension. You can adjust the sensitivity there, much like you can adjust the sensitivity on Track IR to not move at the slightest change. But regardless, it does take quite a lot of getting used to. For me personally as well, in other sims, notably FSX, I found that the movement of the camera, FSX is just not set up to respond to a joystick very well for its camera control. So it wasn't as fluid as it is here in DCS World. So the camera would be kind of slow at times, not anywhere near as fast as I want. And again, you can adjust that with sensitivity, but I never did. I just couldn't get into it very well at all. Here in DCS though, I can see the potential. I had similar problems actually in Elite Dangerous, where in Elite Dangerous you actually need to turn on, in that game, head movement. So you turn that on and then the views will work, and it gets very disorienting in Elite Dangerous and very, very hard to manage. The other challenge I think you would have with a title like DCS World, as opposed to FSX or Euro Truck Sim or something, is combat. You know, in combat you tend to be looking around all the time, and you're trying to keep your eyes on a bad guy. The camera doesn't always keep up with me very well when that's happening, which is a challenge. Overall though, the technology does indeed do what they say it does. It does work. I'm not convinced it's for me, really, which is why I said at the start of this video I'll probably be giving mine away. Not in this video, stay tuned. It's just not for me, because I'm very much used to head tracking devices, and if you have familiarity with head tracking devices, then you're used to how that works. Actually, you're used to a much, what's the word? A much faster response, the ability to just snap your head around sideways and the view will change. You don't get that with this. You also don't get 6 degrees of freedom, so I can't zoom in. I'm leaning in now, nothing's happening. You can't shift your head from side to side. It focuses purely on your eyeballs, so it very much is just a 2D X and Y translation of a camera control into the sim that you're flying, which is okay. It's okay. I mean, the device is not crazy expensive compared to, say, Track IR. I think Track IR with the Pro Clip comes in at the $150 to $200 mark, and Tobii EyeX comes in at the $139 mark, so it's not crazy. I don't know what happened. I just looked up, and then you have to remember to move what you're looking at somewhere else, otherwise the screen won't come back, which is a little odd. You can assign buttons for centering it, much as you can in Track IR. You can assign buttons for turning it on and off as well, much as you can in Track IR. But overall, I mean, it is a very, very cool piece of technology. If you've not used head tracking devices before, this might be a good first step for you. In fact, I was talking about it with my wife. If you have a disability, I know a number of pilots who are disabled in many ways, from the minor to the major and incredibly severe. For some of those guys, I'm thinking of you, Robbie, this might be very, very cool. Very, very cool indeed. You know, Robbie is a friend that I made at Flight Sim Con who has severe cerebral palsy, and I think for him this would be amazing. So it does have uses. I think anybody, oh my god, that can't get along with Track IR, which as well takes quite a bit of getting used to, would probably find this useful. Now I'm having problems because I'm trying to reach for my mouse and I'm trying to look down at the gear lever so I can drop the gear on this and start slowing it down. And this is the first time in DCS World with the Tobii EyeX that I've tried to land a KA-50 on a small moving object. And that's a little off-putting because I'm looking at my speed, and as I look at my speed the view shifts, which in a helicopter is very, very, very disorienting. You kind of just want to be able to glance down at the instruments, and I think that's going to be an ongoing problem actually with using this in flight simulators, where you do need to glance at a display. And again, you know, a lot of that is how I have this not set up. You know, you can go in and adjust the sensitivity so a glance is not picked up. And that would probably be a much more satisfying experience. Just try and hover. Try and control the eyeballs a little bit. And we're down. So not too bad. Not too bad at all. Would have been helpful if I'd bound the brakes up. Let's take off again. Before we have no choice. Let's try and do a little circuit around this carrier. Now with Track IR, I would turn my head to the right and I would lock my eyes on that carrier. Let's try and do that with the Tobii EyeX. It's not working too well. Now I need to move my eyes and focus on where I'm looking to bring the view back. There's the carrier, so let's try and track that object now as we fly around it. And see how we do, or I do. It just takes practice. And I think it is something that anybody could get used to. Just be aware. As I said, if you've used head tracking devices before, you probably won't like this. It's not as free, I guess, in how it works as a head tracking device like Track IR. If you've not used a head tracking device though, this could be a very good first step. Head tracking devices like Track IR do require a period of learning as well, and a period of adjustment to get used to their quirks and how it feels looking around. Whoa, I glanced at my instruments. But I think with practice, this could be pretty cool. My only concern is that out of the box it is not. You know, if you get this thinking this is going to be incredible and it's going to almost telepathically know what I want to do, you're in for a bit of a disappointment, I'm afraid, because it doesn't. Oh, bring this down, albeit somewhat bumpily. Pretty cool stuff though. We're going to have to take off again because once again I've got to bind my brakes. Let's go for a fly over the town here. I'll keep it fairly low level and see if I can manage the helicopter, because that's going to be tricky, because when I'm flying low level in helicopters I am glancing at the instruments a great deal, trying to remain aware of what's going on, trying to keep an eye on my speed, on my height, and all sorts of other cool stuff. Alright, gears up, speed's coming up, altitude is as low as we would like it to be. As I said, in combat, particularly in dogfights, it's a bit of a chore working with this and remembering to force your eyes in a certain direction. And I don't remember how much of a chore it was learning something like Track IR, because I've been using it so very, very long. There's a bridge over there. Let's see if we can fly to the bridge. Which is why I don't want to discount this straight away and say don't get it, it's awful. It's not awful, it's different. And different things take a while to learn. I just don't think I have the patience to fully master it. Oh my god, that was so awkward. Desperately trying to drag my eyes back to the left hand, oh now the right hand side of the screen. And the trick is to look at something. So I'm looking at that bridge, and I'm keeping my eyes very, very, very firmly locked on that bridge, or where I now think that bridge might be. See, that works pretty well once you get used to it. So let's go over here to the town a little bit. And as I said, the trick is to really consciously say to yourself, I am going to look at that slightly brown orangey building, pinky building right in front of me and nothing else. So I'm looking dead at that. I'm not glancing at my instruments. Thank God we have a HUD. I'm looking at that and nothing else. I'm looking at that. Whoop, no, I glanced. I'm looking at that and nothing else. And I'm going to go to the right now. I'm going to try and look at that ship. So I'm focusing on the ship at this point. And you'll see that with me focusing on that ship, as we swing around here, it's actually a very smooth view transition back to center, which is cool. But bear in mind, achieving what I just showed you takes quite a lot of practice. And honestly tires you out. Looking at the lighthouse right now. There's a lighthouse down there in the distance. Tires my eyes out anyway. It does work with spectacles and glasses. If you are a spectacles wearer, then you're just fine. If you're a contacts wearer, you're just fine. And I've got to say I'm surprised at how easy this all was to set up and get going. Not too happy with having something stuck on my monitor, and my monitor has an embossed Asus logo at the bottom of the screen in the center, so getting the sticky metal thing to work with that was a bit of a challenge, but nothing insurmountable. But I think you can see, if you get used to this a little bit and practice, it can be very, very usable. It really can be very usable. We're going to try and circle around this lighthouse here again. Pretty cool, right? The problem is bringing your eyeballs back to center before you hit the ground. Anyway, that was a demonstration of the Tobii EyeX Eye Tracking device. I think I've said it enough times already. My conclusions: if you have a head tracking device, this is not better than that. It really isn't. Let's put it bluntly. If you have Track IR or OpenTrack or FreeTrack or Track Hat with the FreeTrack software, this is not better than that by any means. If you don't have one of those things, this could be pretty cool for you. Just bear in mind there is a relatively steep learning curve before you can get fluid with it. In particular though, if you do have an illness or a handicap like cerebral palsy or something like that, this could be absolutely amazing for you guys. It truly could. So that's all I got. As always, my name is Froogle. Do leave me a comment in the comment section below. What do you think? Have you checked this out already? If you haven't, do take a look at the website link in the show notes below. And until next time, I'll see you all very soon.